Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast with me, as always. You're stuck with me again. Kevin D'Andino is your host, and this is brought to you, as always, by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Now, today's guest, going to be really awesome to hear his story about finance and then kind of how he does his budgeting business. We did have to make an exception, though. We did have one rule that no Raiders fans were allowed on the show. But for you, Kai, you seemed cool enough that I was willing to make an exception, man. So nobody's perfect, but glad to have you here, bud.
I appreciate it, man. Colorado's been great to me, even though I'm still rocking, my Vegas team now. So
there you go. Yep, your Vegas team. Nice. Well, cool, man. Seriously, thanks for spending some time with us coming on the podcast today, and really kind of just turn it over to you and ask the question I ask every guest here at first. What got you into finance in general? What got you into then wanting to open your own business, take that extra leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm going to go for it and try this out, man. So, kind of break it all down for us there, man.
Yeah, man. I actually ended up in this kind of by accident. Never thought that I would be the guy that would be running numbers for other people. I figured I was going to open a gym, something around fitness, personal training, all of that good stuff.
Sure.
But I worked for a nonprofit for about 11 years. And after my father passed away, I decided that I didn't want to be in like a 9-to-5 type of a job anymore. And I decided to go to school to be a coach. Like I wanted to be a life and business coach. And I enrolled myself in a program. And I happened to meet a gentleman that had started a business around budgets. It was actually called Dr. Budgets. So we'll get to that part of the story. And him and I, we worked together very, very, very closely. And I was the business coach and his life coach as he was building the back end of Dr. Budgets. And he kept begging me to come be a coach within his company. And I was always like, nah, man, like spreadsheets, numbers, not my thing at all. Like not trying to play that. He finally got me in to help with the company culture, gave me 2 clients, and I fell in love with it. That was 7 years ago. And I bought the business from him 4 years ago. So I have now been a client, I've been a coach, and I'm the owner. So I know this business out, and it's all I do every day now.
That's fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit more about the business itself. What do you all do? And we'll kind of go from there, man.
Yeah, so we do personal finance for individuals, couples, small businesses. Essentially what I'm helping people do is figure out the clarity around what's coming in, what's going out, where it's going, so that they can actually stop the chaos and like actually get back in control of their numbers. So like an example, somebody is bringing in $10,000, right? But 13's going out. They're trying to pay down credit cards and they have no idea why the balance isn't going down. Like I help them, one, trim the fat and then create the strategies to pay off the credit cards, whether it's taking out a personal loan, whether it's actually using like one of the different methods that you can pay it off. It really depends on their finances. And for small businesses, what we're really doing is really helping them kind of untangle everything, because most small business owners are using both accounts as the magic money account. And they don't pay themselves. And so they're pulling from Peter to pay Paul, all that good stuff. So it's just really about helping people gain clarity, control, and then create a system. We systematize things so it takes away the willpower, right? Like you don't have to worry about overspending on trips because we have a very specific number set for these things.
Right. Takes a lot of the thinking out of it, and you just kind of go on autopilot, if you will. But to have somebody on the backside that you trust, that's putting those numbers together is got to be pretty big. So, I think one question I wanted to ask you there with all of that, working with small businesses and your experience there, you kind of touched on one of the big common things people do is, paying out of their own personal accounts, right? And kind of mudding up the waters there. And our last guest on the previous episode was talking about a similar situation. So what are some other things that you see common from small business owners that they struggle with, or that they routinely come to you in terms of having questions or issues or anything like that?
One of the biggest ones is I made X amount. Well, yeah, you made X amount on the revenue line, but if you don't know what, again, is going out on the expense line, you aren't really making money. Like I had a real estate agent that came through, they made $1 million that year, but they also spent $950,000 of it. Like, and that wasn't like them paying themselves. Like they had $50,000 is all they got for the year for two of them because they were both just swipe happy, right?
Yeah.
Not having a set financial team, like having a coach like me, having a bookkeeper, having a CPA, people that you can like actually like count on to give you the information that you need is super, super important.
Yeah.
And then the other, like I said, the other things like most business owners that are like under a million, under 1.5 aren't really paying themselves. It's not a consistent salary. It's kind of like, oh, I need $5,000 right now. The business has it. I'm going to pull that. Oh, I need $500, and it's the
Mm,
same thing versus being like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay myself $2,500 every 2 weeks so I can get the personal side set.
right.
Yeah. So
No, that makes sense. And it's definitely, you think that it's probably not something as they're doing it, they think is a big deal, right? It's like, oh, it's just a little bit of money here, just a little bit of money there. But just like everything else, like, man, that stuff adds up. And I can imagine it gets people in a lot of trouble. And you see, I guess I was wondering, with that, how many businesses do you see fail because of bad bookkeeping, bad budgets, and they just, they go too far down that rabbit hole, and it just kind of like there's almost nothing we can do now.
I've had a couple come to me that there wasn't much. There was too much debt.
Mm,
They've had to step away, and that was before I even got a chance to like support them. Most of the time, they're finding me a little bit before. We've got like about a year to kind of figure some of this stuff out and get things together. The only time they really, I'd say, quote unquote, fail is if the lead flow isn't what it needs to be and they're not closing deals, right? Because if they're bringing the money in, we're going to be able to figure out how to pay it.
right.
It takes dedication, takes some grit and a lot of strategy, but yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's. I just think it's fascinating, man, hearing it from that perspective and kind of really getting into the weeds with the finances and supporting the business owners from that standpoint. It is such a huge part of their job. And I would just, any business owner that's listening out there, I mean, whether it's Kai or someone else, I mean, I would say reach out to Kai first, but anyone else you find or know of, like, find somebody early, right? I mean, that's something I would think would be a big thing is as you're either opening a business or maybe you've had one for a while, but you don't have a financial person ready to go and somebody that you trust. I would say too, like that's something you should probably get on now, right? If anything, like even if things are running well, like there's got to be ways to optimize and find more revenue for you if you're going through someone that knows what they're talking about.
100%. And like I think what I want people to understand too is like, yeah, the business finances are important, but the personal are just as important, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that's the side that gets neglected the most, is the
Mm,
personal side because it's kind of like a bystander, even though it controls our everyday. You know what I mean?
right.
So I've been able to go through personal finances and find missing car payments, people that have investment properties. Hey, your person didn't pay you last month. Oh, I got the check, and then we go and we look, and it's a $3,000-4,000 payment missing. I'm like, how did you miss that? Right?
It's a
Like I would
lot.
know if $3,000 was missing, but
Yeah,
everybody's busy. Couple of kids,
I get it.
working 40, 50 hours. Like your finances are the last thing that you want to play with. Had a client recently. Google's been charging her for was it February, March, and April. It's charged her for 3 months, and she thought that she canceled, right? Like, and it kind of slid in there, and
Yep.
until you actually take that time to look, I was once charged $101 for a burrito in California. It was
That must
$101
be
burrito.
some burrito. Was it laced with gold or like what?
Yeah, it was that nice carne asada burrito, right?
Ah,
But
okay.
because I check my transactions regularly, I walked right back in. I was like, "Really? Like, do something
I don't
about
think
this
it's
now."
worth that much.
Right. But imagine, like, if I wouldn't have checked it, like, they would've not that they did it on purpose, it was just like a
No,
zero.
of course not.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But,
Yeah.
yep, $101.
Well, that's the most expensive burrito that I've ever heard of.
Yep.
And I like burritos, but I don't know if I'd pay that much for
I
one.
don't like them that much.
But the point is very valid. I know for me, I'm not a numbers guy. I tried in college, and it did not work out very which is why I became a psychology major, because there's like no numbers involved.
I feel that.
Um, but you know, for somebody like me that's would be running a business, the numbers would scare me. They really would. And I think for anybody out there, like again, whether the numbers scare you or don't, like I think to have somebody in your corner like that, it's just going to be beneficial, you know, so many times over, that I'd imagine it would pay for itself in terms of your fees there too. So
100%. And I think that that's one of the things too, is like, I'm not like a Dave Ramsey where I'm like trying to like be like super like cutthroat, right? Like
right.
I really am working with people to change their like their mindset around how money has gone in the past for us to create a positive relationship with it. Like, yeah, we're gonna talk about like, hey, that didn't work, but I'm not gonna be like, Kevin, you didn't do this. It's gonna be more like, all right,
Yeah.
man, like, okay, so you spent $3,000 this month on food and dining out. Like, what happened? Like, what was going on? Like, and
Yeah.
what can we do, you know, next month? Like, it's really about finding somebody who will take you on that positive journey.
Right.
Um, Along with it, help you change the mindset and like make numbers not be scary, which is what
Right.
I really, really, really try to do. And that's why we create the system. I don't use spreadsheets with you guys. Like, I put you in a program and I teach you how to work a system around it so you feel confident.
Right. And I think part of it too would be maybe some fear of judgment.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, if it's like, you know, trying to take your homemade meal to Chef Gordon Ramsay, you know, like, look at what I did, is like, yeah, that's crap, you know, it's raw or whatever, you know, like, here's my book that I've tried really hard to manage, and you know, somebody goes, this is all wrong, you've been screwing up, why would you do this? And
Yeah.
so maybe some fear of like whether they're trying, you know, it's like, I don't want to be judged for, you know, my mistakes, you know, in the past. So to have that life coach kind of experience tying into this is a really fascinating side to it, because I think a lot of people would just be focused on the numbers and just purely talking about the numbers. So, um, I guess what kind of success have you had in terms of trying to tie the life coach experience into your business model there?
So I think that's the cool part. So the former owner, he wasn't a coach like this, right? And he was always like,
Sure.
"You're so much better at this because you enjoy coaching." Like I love the coaching, don't love the numbers, but the numbers tell a story. So the
Yeah.
success is when I can hear something in somebody's like what they said, like in because I've been taught to like listen, right, and like to pull things and context out from there. I can take that and tie it back in, right? Like
Mm,
if I hear one of the money stories come out, like I can very gently tap on it and be like, "Hey, how long have you been thinking about this? Like, when did this first pop up?" And a client might be like, "Oh, I remember when I was a kid, my sister stole $1 and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "What did that teach you?" And I'm like, "And how is that showing up in our numbers?" So I can take
hmm.
these pieces and relate them. You know, like a kid that might not have felt seen, didn't get gifts, but loves giving them now. They're going to be overspending in those areas, gifts, holidays, travel. And so I can take those things and just kind of reflect them back to them, not as a like, let's beat you down, but more as a reflection of like, hey, once you can acknowledge this and see it, you can choose now whether you want to keep doing that. And that's okay if you want to, but
Right. It's your choice. Yeah.
it's your choice, right? Right now, it's controlling you.
Right. Yeah. It's almost, you call yourself a money therapist in a way. I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like to me.
I've had a couple of my couples tell me that I'm a couples therapist because
A
I've saved
couple
a couple
therapist.
marriages. Like when they come on, I hear them saying the same thing, but they're fighting in completely different ways.
Right.
And I can say it, and both of them hear it. I'm like, you guys realize both of you just said that to me, but you weren't listening to each other, right?
Well, that's got to make yourself feel good though, when you can see like, you know, the success is having that kind of impact on the personal lives, you know, and marriage. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know that money problems is the leading, if not one of the leading causes of divorce, right? So you've got to have a pretty good seat there, and to see that and feel the impact of that in your day-to-day job has got to be incredible.
That's why I love doing this work. Like there's days where I'm like swamped in the admin, you know, the Excel docs, getting their stuff prepped, and then I pop on with the clients, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is why I'm here. Like
This is why I'm
this is
here.
how,
This is why I'm doing it.
yeah,
Oh man, I feel
absolutely.
that. I feel that. So talk to me a little bit about what made you flip that switch? You know, when your friend was like putting the company up for sale, or you wanted to buy it, you know, what made you go, yes, like this is something that I'm willing to risk, you know? I think it's
Yeah.
always fascinating to me, again, the psychology part of it all, but knowing how big of a risk it is to start your own company. And for you, it kind of was already there. You just be taking charge of it, but that's still got to be a huge risk and a huge jump to take. So what was that like? You know, what kind of mental, you know, issues did you have trying to decide if that was going to happen or not?
Yeah, I got you. So I've always had a very entrepreneurial mind. Like I've always been like, I was that kid that was trying to make money. Like I was getting paid for teaching basketball lessons, all of that stuff. I always loved making my own money. And so I'd already started a couple of businesses. They didn't flourish, right? I made some money, but it wasn't enough to kind of keep myself going. And after COVID, the team building one that I had shut down. But I also knew that I didn't want to go back to work for somebody else like completely fully. So
Mhm.
what actually happened is he offered me my book of business. I think I had about 10 or 12 clients because I was taking all the clients at that point and he was kind of removed. And I decided, nah, like I don't want to build this. I don't want to take this and like change the name and build something else. Like I want the system that we have now and I just want to make it bigger. So for me,
Yeah.
it was super, super exciting. We were actually sitting at a Padres game when I proposed him the idea and I signed at Disneyland. Like
Oh,
we did
geez. There you go.
the virtual handshake while I was at Disneyland. Like, you know what I mean? So it
Perfect.
wasn't scary. This has always just been something that like I knew I was going to eventually completely work for myself.
Oh, wow.
It took a little negotiating to make sure that we both came to an agreement on what I wanted to pay for it to make sure he got the value for it. It took us
Sure.
about 3 or 4 months to kind of get on that same page, and then I literally just took over from what I was already doing, and the only thing was we switched everything into my name. So it was
Hmm.
a different purchase than probably most people are going to go through because I'm still friends with him. Like we were already friends. So
Right. Well,
yeah,
that's really cool though, to kind of have that confidence in yourself, you know, and to say, Look, I'll make it work." You
yeah,
know, I mean, you have the financial part of it, you know, figured out for
yeah,
yourself, right?
yes, yeah,
That's not as big a worry, and I think that's probably a lot of worry for, you know, business owners, but or people that are wanting to start one. So that's really cool to hear, man. So you know, you have a lot of support there from just your own knowledge base of finances and stuff. But what are some other challenges that you've come across as a business owner that maybe you weren't expecting or didn't anticipate that maybe you'd wish you had known now, known then what you know now?
Um, I think two of the biggest ones. I'll go with two of them because there's quite a few, right?
Sure.
But two of the biggest ones, like it's lead flow. Like it's trying to figure out how to get people here. What's the best way? And like the craziest thing right now, man, is that this thing right here, this like cellular device, this is your business. Like
Yeah.
refusing to open it up and just like talk to it and like put out content because like it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but
Yeah.
30, 60, 90 days later, one of the videos that you put up is still teaching somebody else. You know what I mean? And like that might be that one video that that one person needed to either go off and do it by themselves or to reach out and get the to get the support they needed. Like the phone, like social media. Like if I'm telling you guys anything right now in this day and age, if you're trying to start a business, build yourself. It doesn't even need to be just a brand. Just get out there and share. Like
Yeah.
anything that you can about it. There's that part because if you're not getting the leads, you're not going to have the money. And if you don't have the money, you stress out about everything else, right?
Everything
Um,
else.
and if you're gonna start a business, don't quit right now. Work in the morning, work in the evening. Make sure that you have a safety net. Like, don't do what I did. Like, I quit the Y and just jumped. Like, I left. I had 10 grand in my account, and I was like, I'll figure it out. But I've always been like that, right? Is that the
Sure.
easy
Sure.
route? Absolutely not. Is that the route that I recommend friends take? Absolutely not.
No.
You know what I mean? It'll work, but you're gonna be stressed out.
Sure.
And then I feel like the other part is there are days where whatever you do, you get overwhelmed with. It feels like sometimes it can be monotonous, and you just have to kind of keep bringing yourself back to your why. Last year the program that I was using shut down. I was using Mint to like
Mm.
run all my clients through. It shut down. It gave me 60 days. I had to find a new program, move all of my clients over, teach them all in like
learn
a
it. Yeah.
40-day period of time. And like I was burnt out. And it's okay to
Mhm.
take some time to yourself and like not be about business 24/7.
Hmm. That is probably a really big one.
Yeah,
And not a question I've really asked other business owners yet, but you hear the stories of the business owners that are just always there. They're always working.
yeah,
Um, that idea of taking care of yourself, taking some time off. Part of it is you got to, trust your employees enough to know that they can run it without you there, right? But that should be the goal is
100%,
to get financially well set enough and train your employees well enough to where it's kind of, if you're not there, it's not the end of the world.
100%.
Um, but you gotta do that. I can't imagine. I'm the type of guy that nickels and dimes my PTO. I'm like, I'm done this week. I'm not gonna stress over anything else this week. Here's a
Yep,
couple 4 hours here, 5 hours there. But other people just don't take time off, and that's just so crazy to me because I'm such a big proponent of take care of yourself.
100%. 100, because if you're not like you're not showing up as the best version for you, for your clients, or for your family, right? Like,
Exactly.
and like I know that there's like the hustle culture, like get up in the morning if you're not working until you're beat. Like, no, that's I don't think that's where it's supposed to be.
No.
Get up in the morning. If you have a family, like go home, eat lunch with them or eat dinner with them, like spend time with
Yeah.
your kids. When they go to bed at 8:30, if you still want to work, then go work. But those days where like you feel like you should be putting in a 12-hour day, it's do you really need to?
Do you
Especially when
need to?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you need to, or do you just want to?
Right, and there are
And it's
seasons, right? Like, there are
oh
seasons.
sure.
I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life seasons, right? Like, I'm in a
There you
season
go.
right now where I've been working, like, somewhere between 10 and, like, 14 hours, but, like, it's because I'm working on a project that as soon as this is done, allows me to step back, and I'm trying to get it done before the summer so I can spend as much time out in the summer riding
Yeah.
bikes, playing ball, like, spending time with, like, my broke best friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm willing to hustle now so that it doesn't take away from the people that I want to be with later.
Sure. That's awesome, man. Kind of want to hear your thoughts on how you get involved in your community. It's kind of a common question we have here, but really do feel that community and community involvement is such a huge part to success of a business. Whether that's like finding different events around the community to sponsor or be a part of, to even just really getting to know other business owners in your local area. So, kind of how do you approach the idea of community and community involvement?
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I just moved to Denver. I've been here for about a year and a half. I'm still trying to get my footing around here. I fly back and forth to San Diego once or twice a month. I was flying out there until this month for a BNI meeting, right?
Okay.
Business networking. There were a group of 60 of us that were solid professionals, and like I'd go out a couple days, hang out with them. Um, do business, talk, like go to events from there. One person connects you to another person. Like I feel like getting involved with the community is just about the networking, right? I actually came here. I went to a BNI here to check it out. Met somebody in the elevator who introduced me to like one of my best friends here. At this point, right? And like he's
Yeah,
always sending me like little things. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's go do that. And for me, trying to get into the community here has been more so of like, let's go explore Denver. Let's
sure.
go see like the cool places, the
Well,
cool people, and things like that. Yeah,
yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you have to know your community and what's there to be
yeah,
able to understand how do I best support these people that are around me. So, in a way, I mean, that's as simple as it sounds. That's a great idea. And to any other business owner out there, when's the last time you went out and you just looked around to see what else is out there? What's new? What are people doing? Where are they going? What's popular? And what can you do to help out for what's
yeah.
going on.
Can
So
we talk to the small business owner, right? Like, I get a joy out of like walking into a place where they're like, "Oh, the owner's here," and I'm like, "That's dope," because like, how often
that's
do we
awesome.
see that? Like,
Hmm.
out, right? And like, I feel like the little place that I get my dog's dog food, it's she's always there. She knows
Hmm.
everybody who walks in, super sweet. She's always willing to give you tips. You know what I mean? But like, it's because
Yeah.
think the other thing is it's also just being willing to have a conversation with somebody and not being stuck in your head down on your phone, AirPods in, like just being willing to talk.
Yeah. Well, that's some great advice, man, and something that I haven't heard yet, but makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to pass that on to the other business owners we have on here as well.
There you
So
go. Take it from the
good
newbies.
inputs. Now, maybe you being a numbers guy, you might actually like this topic. I don't know. Normally, this is the topic that just nobody likes as a business owner, and that is insurance. So, how do you know, what are some of the things that you got to worry about insurance wise in your line of work? And kind of how do you approach, finding an insurance agent, dealing with insurance, and anything like that? Kind of what is involved there?
I mean, luckily for me, there's not a ton that's involved. I've got my what is it? It's
You know,
ENO. I've got
yeah,
that just to make sure that, like I also make sure that I don't take a lot of financial information. So like I limit
mhm,
my liability on this side, but like as a coach, got that part. How being in BNI was a great opportunity for me, right? Like you don't know what you don't
sure,
know until you have one-on-ones with people, right? Until you start talking and then you're like, yeah, I should probably get that, right? So it's just the conversations. I always love creating relationships with people that do different things, right? So like if we had met on the street, I'd have been like, this is my boy. I know he likes the wrong team, but you know what, guys, like cool. Like if
he's okay though.
yeah, yeah. Like my sister, she's looking for somebody. Like I know that like just based off of like energy, it's very easy to be like, oh, hey, you know what? There are people out there that are going to take care of you. You can tell
Yeah,
who's in it for the right reasons and who's not.
no, that's fair. So
Yeah.
again, trusting people is kind of, from the podcast I recorded earlier today, a big topic was trusting people, not just, finding somebody that'll do this for you, but do you really trust them? And part of that is, do you know them?
Yeah.
Right. You got to
Yeah.
build that relationship and spend that time investing in that to get to that point. So,
Do you feel like they're
and
going to be
I'll,
there for you when stuff hits the fan? You know what I mean? Because
right.
like that's when you need your person the most, between figuring out to make sure that you've got everything, all those ducks in a row so you're protected. But then when
Yeah.
something actually happens, like, and like that is a huge part.
Well, do you want to call someone who you don't know where they are? You've never talked to them before. They don't know your business from, the one they just talked to yours, like versus, hey, I'm going to call Steve over at this shop, whatever, this guy knows me. He knows my situation. I know that he's going to be able to take care of me and he's going to be honest about it too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
big difference, I would say. I know
Yes.
which one I would rather have in my corner, not
Me too.
the person working in a telephone call center, that I'm never going to talk to again.
Oh, right.
But that's just me. That's just me.
That's me too.
Well, Kai, let's wrap this up by starting. You go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, all the appropriate information, how they can contact you if they, want to sign up, get some help, or just maybe get a consult. I'm not sure how you do it, but let us all know.
Yeah. So again, it's Kai Dickens. It's Dr. Budgets. If you want to go to the website, it's drbudgets.com. All of my content right now is on Instagram. So if you go to just Dr. Budgets, DR Budgets on Instagram, I've got a ton of videos on there, just kind of going over some of the simple things that you can do on your own in your journey. Or you can always feel free to just kind of reach out to us and we can talk through the situation, what's going on for you. We're very low pressure because this is one of those things that you have to commit to 100% in order for it to work and be beneficial for either one of us, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, if you want to come have a conversation, let's do it. I promise I'll make it fun.
that's fantastic, man. Seriously, everyone go check out Kai here at Dr. Budgets. Get his information. Check that out. I guarantee you that pretty much all of us need some sort of financial help. I know I do. So, but that's just me, and just trying to make sure everyone knows that you're not alone. If
I
that's
don't know.
something you're struggling with, don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel like you're going to get judged. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help.
No,
And so I encourage you all to do it. I'm sure Kai, you're right there with me. You say the same
100%.
thing a lot, I'm sure.
100%. If you happen to be part of a couple and you guys are having consistent fights about money, this is the one thing that supports that because I'm a third party. Like I just want both of you guys to win. And so I'm not listening for either. And I'm just trying to make sure that you guys are able to work. So
that's perfect. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure having you on, man. And for everyone else who's listening out there, seriously, thank you for tuning in. First off, if you are a business owner yourself, or you know a business owner who would like to be on the podcast, we have an open invitation. We even include Raiders fans. So no worries there. If they're a Raiders fan, they're more than welcome to come on and join us. So just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll send you all the information to get you booked on a future episode. But once again, my name is Kevin Dandino. You are listening to Behind the Small Business Podcast, brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time on Behind the Small Business. See you later, everyone.